Hi, welcome back to the series on version 1. This is Mahendra Vatte and you're in the YouTube channel Agile Enthusiast. In this series of tutorial for version 1, in tutorial 1 we saw the project creation, menu configuration and the grid view. In the tutorial 2 I spoke about strategic themes and portfolio items. We briefly touched upon what is WSJF and the portfolio Kanban board, and as well as we created the child portfolio item. In the tutorial 3 we saw how budgeting is done in version 1. In this tutorial number 4 I will show how to create a product backlog group using which we can group the product backlog items. We will create the product backlog items as well. I will end this tutorial by showing how to create a hierarchy of stories to the product backlog item. There are multiple ways of doing that. I will show both of them. One is to create a portfolio item and then create a child backlog item. The other is to associate an existing backlog item to an existing portfolio item. Well, let's get started. Under product, click backlog groups. Backlog groups are hierarchical functional groupings used to segment the backlog. They are typically used to represent functional components of the system. They can be used as filters during the planning and tracking process and to report on the progress and plans from this higher level perspective. Click Add Backlog Group. On clicking Add New Group, we land on this page. We need to give a title for the group. Let me zoom a bit. We need to give a title for a group, and it can also be created as a child of an existing backlog group. There could be a existing backlog group. It can be created as a child of that. As in this case, a group by name Internet Security is created as a child of security group. Click Save or Save and New or Save and View as the case may be. On clicking Save and View, this is what you see. Let me zoom and just show. This is the parent group and this is the name of the group that we just created. This is how the child group will look in the grid view. We have created the internet security as a child of the group known as security. That's how it looks. Now let us see how to add a product backlog item itself. Under the product, click backlog as shown. It is worthwhile to remind to ensure that the appropriate planning level is chosen. We need to have the appropriate planning level chosen before we click backlog. We can have a backlog item or a defect in the product backlog. We can do both. You can add a product backlog item or you can add a defect as well. A defect is something similar to which I term as a production defect. On Clicking create backlog. This is the screen that we get. We can choose a particular backlog group. We can choose a particular backlog group under which this story should get into. We can give the estimate in story points. On scrolling down, we see additional fields that are associated with the story. Let's see what they are. This is a status. It can be future, in progress, done, and accepted. This is also configurable. Of course, I'm not talking about creating more statuses. Next is the priority of the story, low, medium, high. Next is a complexity, low, medium, high. We can have the type. It can be a new feature or an enhancement. You can even have the source of the story. It could be product management, sales, customer development. It can be a class of service, expedite, standard, intangible. These are all existing classifications that are there. On clicking save and view, this is what is shown. It shows the details of the story that you just created. Let me zoom a bit. This is a story. I'm calling it as user story 1. It has got 5 story points. The status is future. Priority is medium. Class of service is expedite. Complexity is medium. These are the fields that we gave. A story can also be added inline as shown in the grid view of the backlog by clicking Add Backlog Item Inline. By clicking Add Backlog Item Inline, you can add a story in the grid view itself. I have added few stories, some generic tasks, and a spike. This is my product backlog as of now. Let me zoom and show a bit. I have added a couple of user stories. There's some generic work and a technical spike as well. In the save construct, all the stories roll up to a epic or a feature. In version 1, the hierarchy exists in the form of portfolio item. Remember the one which we created in tutorial 2? It consists of 2 stories. In the portfolio item view, click the drop down arrow and click Add Child Backlog Item. You can click Add Child Backlog Item. By doing so, we land on the same screen to add the backlog which we saw earlier, but this time with the parent portfolio item already populated. As you can see, the portfolio item is portfolio item 2, which is already populated. If the portfolio item is not yet created, in the grid view, click on the story. You have to just click on the story which you want to associate to a particular portfolio item. That's how you link a story to a portfolio item. You will get this screen where you have the details of the story. Pull this drop down. Let me zoom. Pull this drop down, edit, and here you've got a functionality generate parent portfolio item. So if you have a story which doesn't have a parent portfolio item, you can do that from here as well. If there's a portfolio item already existing, you can associate this story with an item by clicking on the pencil icon. Let me zoom a bit. As you can see, there's a pencil icon over here. On clicking that, the available portfolio items will be auto-populated. These are the available portfolio items. They get auto-populated. Well, this brings us to the end of tutorial number 4. In the next tutorial, we'll see about PI planning, child project creation, sprint schedule creation, sprint planning, and tasking the stories. We'll see how to go about creating the test cases as well. Well, thanks for joining. See you in tutorial number 5.